Yeah, this will be for the recording. All right, ready here?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. First off, let me just say condolences from our family to y'all's. So give me just 1 second. Woo. It's face cream. I swear it's in my eyes. So does everybody here know about Standing in the Gap? Is there anybody that doesn't?
There are some that don't.
Okay, a quick little blurb. So my name is Tara Hubbard. I'm the director of Standing in the Gap Women's Ministries. My husband does the men's side. I do the women's side. We're a year-long Christian discipleship ministry. We're multifaceted nowadays. Almost a little over 8 years ago, me and my husband, we came together and had this purpose for the Lord. We both come out of addictions and incarceration. I am an overcomer with the Lord from alcoholism, a 20-year meth addiction, a bunch of nasty stuff. And he kind of had the similar background, and God changed everything. And so when we got together, we originally started with jail ministry. So that is still our ground zero. We do a lot of jail and prison ministries. We go out here to Johnson County Jail. We go and tell the captives what changes things. So we go out and we do Celebrate Recovery every Thursday, and we do Bible studies on Sundays. So with that, it took about a year, and what we were seeing in there is these individuals in there, I'm talking about praising the Lord. When you ain't got nothing, but back then they could have Bibles, they can't have them now. But it was so beautiful to see, and then they would leave, and then they'd be back, and they'd leave and come back, and it was very obvious what was happening. They were going back to their same environments, and when nothing changes, nothing changes. You know, that's just the simple fact of it. And so we started our first men's home. We now have a men's home, a women's home, a women and children's home. We do Celebrate Recovery on Friday nights. I love it that you all are coming. You all are blessed with such an amazing pastor and his family here to take John's place, who was also amazing. We have a thrift shop there in Warrensburg now, which is just knocking the doors off the community. We're rebuilding communities and helping people change their lives through that. And we also do a pantry every week. Last month we served 364 homes out of that pantry last month. So we like to come back and keep updates to Kingsville Baptist Church, because I'll tell you what, y'all have been with us from the beginning. You know, when we first started this, my husband and I moved into the basement of this little house that Kingsville Baptist Church helped us remodel. Okay, so that same house, that was our first men's house. Then they moved to a bigger place. That was our first women's house. They moved to a bigger place, and that is now our women and children's home. So throughout these last 8 years, Kingsville Baptist Church has locked shields with us for this mission of making disciples that making disciples. We are a frontline ministry. We go where most people don't want to go. You know, when the Lord says, "Who shall I send?" we're like, "Please send us." You know, that is our passion, that is our heart. And out of that, I'll tell you, the Lord has put such amazing people in our lives to do life with that it's just amazing. So we're here just doing updates on the women's side of things. You know, the guys normally get a lot of the thunder. You know, there's so many of them. Like, there's 50 plus of the guys nowadays, and they're just moving and grooving. I'll tell you what, there's them guys over there. They are they're working towards being pastors, and they're running classes, and they're filling pulpits sometimes. It's really amazing. But on the flip side of that, the women need to know how to be godly women as well. So that is where my side comes in, of course. You know, Standing in the Gap minute, our housing, there's application processes to things. You know, we are blessed to not take any funding from the government or anything, because they're not going to tell us what to do. Jesus runs things. And so you know, we are for professed Christians only. And when they're in the jails and in those situations and they come to Christ, and then it's like, now what? And so the now what is, you know, like the Great Commission talks about, He sent them off 2 by 2 to make disciples, and then it goes on to teaching them what how to live this out. So that's what we do. We are a structured program. We are a year-long program. So we start every day with Bible study and devotion. They're required to get full-time jobs, being accountable and responsible. A lot of times we haven't done that before. It took me a long time to do that as well in my own life. We do classes 5 nights a week. We do Bible-based classes. And I was just saying that class that you've got, that was up there, that's canceled for tonight. What is that? I have that book in my office for some reason. That probably needs to be taught at my women's house. So I'll connect with you later. Maybe your wife might want to teach it or something. But we do classes 5 nights a week, and Celebrate Recovery is part of that. So if you don't know about Celebrate Recovery, it's a Christ-centered 12-step program from any hurts, habits, and hang-ups, and we all have them. So it's a beautiful thing. We come together and seek the Lord in our healing. So we believe service work is huge. So we try to be the hands and feet of our community. Through the years, it's kind of wild. The community reaches out to us to fill spots, and whether the guys are painting telephone poles or we're doing flower boxes or whatever it is, we do that. But we do a minimum of 6 hours of service work every week. We run that food pantry. There is a lot of moving parts for that. A lot of hands, a lot of volunteers needed. A lot of food going out, a lot of people that's in need nowadays, to whatever degree that is. I used to tell the girls that sometimes we deliver to houses that are in my dreams to live in, beautiful houses, but they're broken and on the inside. And so sometimes we just never know what people are going through, and just to be mindful of that. But yes, there's a lot of food that goes out. Last month, 364 homes. That food goes everywhere from Lake Lafayette to Warsaw, to Knobnoster, to Centerview, to Leeton, all the little dirt roads in between. I've got Odessa that just stepped up and wants to get food from us as well. So y'all keep that in prayer, because that's a huge thing that God's doing. I remember back in my addiction, my mama would say, "Tara, you can't stay here and I'm not paying your bills, but I'm going to make sure that you have food." And so it's always been a thing on my heart. So keep that in prayer. It takes a lot, everything from utilities to bills to all that, to send out free food to people. And we also offer prayer at the door. That is not a requirement for the food, but they know that it's coming from a Christ-centered program. So we do that, and that's so sweet, because sometimes they'll shut the door in your face, and other times that they'll cry because nobody's ever offered prayer before. So, and then we have the pantry, the thrift shop. So we opened the thrift shop this year. It is all from donations. The communities come together and donate. A lot of times people don't have funds to be giving, to sponsor us or whatever. But it's the same difference. Their items is being sold to help us keep our lights on, to help gas be in the vehicles so we can get to churches and meetings and all this. So it is really, there's so many people that are part of Standing in the Gap Ministries that don't even know. So besides that one house that Kingsville helped us with, they also helped us with the other house, the house that the women are in, and then the new house that took us 4 years to build. Every step of the way, Kingsville has been part of what is happening at Standing in the Gap Ministries. I do have two short testimonies today, but I want to go on a little bit more about what it's been going on in Standing in the Gap. So my husband, my boss, whatever, he's all in one. He's a numbers guy. So he wants me to make sure you guys know that your efforts, you walk in shield with us has great. I'm talking about the ripple effect has been, so since last year, January 2024, we've had 41 graduates, men and women together. This year alone, I've had 9 women. Yeah. These are individuals that are the best versions of themselves with Christ, that are that are now able to be godly husbands and godly moms and wives and brothers and sisters, So this year I've had 9 women's graduates. 2 of them had children. So that's beautiful because the mamas, that alone is a special part. Whenever they move from house to house, and then it's like, we have this house, what are we going to do with it? And it was obvious what to do with it, and that was to have moms with children. These children are being poured into. They are doing this program as well. We even had a graduate house that you all helped us with as well. That we have a man living in now that just got custody of his 15-year-old daughter, who just OD'd on fentanyl 2 months ago and almost died. And so she's with him in the program, living her best life. She does programming with us, but families are affected by everything, and it's just so beautiful. And you guys have been part of that all along the way. So let me call one of my girls up. I'm going to have Josie come up. So Josie's. Oh, I got the finger.
You didn't get the finger. Yeah. So she didn't get the finger. She got
a finger.
Okay. So a couple questions real quick before
Yes.
we bring Josie up. What's the name of the thrift store?
Restoring with Kindness.
Restoring with Kindness over in Warrensburg. So if you have donations you need to give, Restoring with Kindness is the place to go. Now, this is a Southern Baptist church, so we're a little on the tame side. All right. So earlier when she said that she has been set free from alcoholism and how long of a meth addiction?
20 years.
20 years. Your response. You go wilder than that if you want to. I don't care. Just keep your shirts on. All right. Now, when you hear these gals, their stories, that's the response to of what God's done in their lives. And then, and one of the things that we're going to be voting on after church is doubling our giving to Standing in the Gap.
Whoa.
So yeah. So isn't that cool?
Oh wow!
All right. There you go. Back to you.
Woo! Josie, come on up. I might have some more lotion in my eyes, so excuse me. Here's Josie.
So before I begin, I just wanted to start off by saying that the first 2 Bible verses that I saw on the screens this morning, we got here pretty early, were the 2 Bible verses I put in my testimony, and I think that is pretty amazing. Hello, brothers and sisters. My name is Josie. I'm 27 years old and a child of God. I have been at Standing in the Gap about a month, and several times I have picked up a Bible verse alone and tried to stay sober. My biggest temptation was always a man, to feel safe, loved, and happy. I grew up without a dad and an alcoholic mom, and I turned my pain into a pursuit of validation and connection. Before starting this path, I began using synthetic marijuana. Around my mom, she would buy it for me and get it for me and my friends. I used her 5-year leave of absence in me and my brothers and sisters' life to my advantage. She was the only one who could and would get it for me, and I ended up in treatment in Clinton because of a truancy officer and told my counselor what my mom and I used together out of immense feelings of betrayal. From there, I went into state's custody. I ran from there and went to Columbia treatment. When I got in trouble and I ran from there, I tried meth for the first time. My pursuit became 2 things. I have hitchhiked, slept with strangers, and went to foster homes, jail, and psych hospitals. At 16, I started using intravenously. My grandma was the biggest light in my life, and it's the only reason I had a home until I messed it up time after time. I was saved, and I asked Jesus into my heart when I was 14 because I knew what was coming into my life and at the end of everyone's. I still free fell into the world very fast. I never stopped talking to God or having someone believe in me and pray for me. I had my first son at 21, and I was clean for almost 2 years. I had a family and was finally a mother and knew what I needed and what that meant. I now have 3 sons, and they are what brings me joy, and my pursuit was and always will be being a mother and raising my children how I wanted to be raised. Unsurprisingly, all their fathers are addicts and were in and out of prison. They were all 10 or 5 years older than me and a little deeper into it and truly been through so much more than me, and I wanted to change our lives. It took me 13 years to understand no amount of love or children can change anyone. When they fell, or I fell, I would run far away at first, but the heartbreak of not being enough broke my spirit. I used for the smallest amounts of time periodically because motherhood was my priority. My last struggle and worst happened this past Mother's Day. My youngest son is Nash, who is 10 months old. Nolan is 2, and Dayton is 6. Nash's father's name is Dylan. We were living with my grandma in church every Sunday and Wednesday for a few months with all of our boys in pre-marriage counseling, and it was the first time I got to watch my baby with his dad from the beginning. Dylan confided in my grandma and that he had never been clean on the outside that long, and he felt so angry while I was at work. She had him leave rightfully, and I chose to go with him. I had a lot of child support back pay, and we moved into a motel. We made it a few weeks and relapsed after us both going to treatment during my pregnancy. He really turned different. He was nothing but mean. We ended up getting a rolling domestic together, and we were reported to Children's Division after 3 days. I was required to take my children to my mom's and have no contact with him, and I didn't listen. After a big argument between my mom, Dylan, and I, we left on our own without my sons to work and find a place to get them back. We were staying at campgrounds, and a month later, he went to jail over our rolling domestic because he was on bond and a drug patch and he was not allowed to get in trouble. I found myself alone in Harrisonville, the worst place I could possibly be, and I got high without him. I cheated on him without meaning to, and I cleaned up and I picked him up from jail, and he knew everything. I was only honest with him about relapsing because he had told me many times if I ever cheated that he would kill me, but I never thought I would. He tried to kill me and destroyed my vehicle. I ran and prayed, screaming for God to send help. In a very rural area at 2 a.m., he listened as usual, and a man stops that there was no cars. I really did not believe anybody would show up, and somebody did. A man stopped, and he took me to my car so I could find my wallet and my keys, and Dylan started destroying this man's vehicle by kicking it. He ended up shooting him in the sternum after multiple warnings. I couldn't bear what I felt I caused, and after God saving my life, I still destroyed myself to forget the choices I made. There hath no temptation taken you but such as is common to man, but God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that we are able to handle, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape that you may be able to bear it. 1 Corinthians 10:13. God used the weight of my children to bring me back because I could have stayed where I was forever killing myself. I checked myself into treatment, and halfway through I got two of my boys back. I'm fighting for custody for my 2-year-old Nolan with his father. I didn't have a plan after treatment. After calling multiple women's houses and sober livings, nobody would accept me because I had no car or my boys' ages. My last day of treatment, I was referred to Standing in the Gap, and I was given Tara's number. I now, because and only through God's will, have a safe, sober home and family to my children and myself. God had to show me how evil this drug could be and how many times he has saved my life, even when I'm wrong, for me to open my eyes and leave my flesh. God has always been the one waiting to show me what a relationship is, and I'm ready to put him in my recovery first so that everything I love in life does not have to come last. I'm creating a new life around God, and my intention is to run into somebody younger than me that I can share the miracle of recovery with. A safe God, loving family that accepts everyone. My intention is to run into someone younger than me that I can share the miracle of recovery with, and the safe God, loving family that accepts everyone as Jesus Christ does. And walk along with God every day, and working and being the best mother I can be. This is all I need. Psalms 34:17. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Thank you for listening.
So y'all keep Josie in prayer as she's just starting this journey, but she's a knockout, you know. She's got this sincere desire to want to seek and serve the Lord. You know, rock bottom sometimes is a firm foundation to start building your life in Christ. So thank you for being with us. That was beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to bring up Amanda next. So she's at the other end of the spectrum. So she's a graduate. Right now in our program, we have 5 graduates who have been with us for going on some years now. And so this is family. So tell us what's going on.
Well, my name is Amanda. I came to the Gap about June of last year. Let me rewind and go kind of back to the beginning. I was raised by an alcoholic father and a mentally unstable drug addict for a mom. Now, they loved me in their own way, but it wasn't the best way. Like, it was not a safe environment at all. There was constant fighting, constant drama. My dad was always gone. Mom was spending all the money on whatever she could to fix herself. We were just there for the ride. It didn't matter for me and my brother. My dad finally had enough. My mom was the aggressor. She was the abuser. She beat my dad all the time. My dad finally left when I was 8 years old, and we got put out on the streets, my mom, my brother, and me, because we weren't allowed to be in the house anymore. So my mom did what she did best. She got money wherever she could. She didn't care. She used us in her pawn game to make money to support her habit. When my brother was 12, she left him on the streets of Tennessee and took me around with her. She ended up marrying somebody, and at 9 years old, I was sexually assaulted by my stepfather for the first time. When my mom came home from the mental hospital, I told her. And the first thing my mom told me was, "You're jealous of my life." What was I to be jealous of at 9? I just wanted my mother. I had no reason to be jealous. So I kept it to myself. I didn't tell her again. I didn't say a word about it after that. I eventually went to live with my dad and my stepmom in Louisiana. My brother had made his way down there from Tennessee. I lost contact with my mom for a while. When I was 13, I ended up finding my mom again. And I don't know why, but I thought things were different. Things changed. I went to go spend the summer with my mom. It was a mistake. I never should have gone. She had remarried someone else that had an addiction himself and an obsession. She gave me to him for his birthday as a gift. And for 2 weeks that summer, I was his. I went home to my father. I never told my dad. I still haven't told my dad, and I'm 36 years old. About a month after I got home, I found out I was pregnant. 13 years old, I'm pregnant with my stepfather's child. I told my friend that I had an abortion. I had just gotten saved before I went to my mother's. And after I had the abortion, I thought I had committed the ultimate act against God. I committed murder. I violated a commandment. And my addiction started. I didn't care. I ran the streets. I did what I wanted. I was an addict for 6 years. In that 6-year span, I OD'd 5 times. I was shot twice, stabbed 7 times. I got pregnant again at the age of 16 and had a miscarriage. Was told I was never going to have children. And then at the age of 19, I got pregnant with my oldest son. And that was when my mom, my biological mother, was killed in a car accident. If it wouldn't have been for the fact that God blessed me with my son, I would not be here. Because I could not do that to my child. So I stopped using. And I raised my son. And then I had 2 more children. And he blessed me time and time again with my kids. And I took them for granted. I used off and on throughout the years while they were growing up because I was still dealing with past trauma. I was ashamed. I felt guilty. Like it was my fault. I blamed myself. And I tried to raise my kids the best I could. Well, I ended up actually meeting Tara a couple years ago. She said, her passion is jail ministry. That is how I met her. I was a corrections officer. I worked in a jail. I worked in a prison for 7 years. That's how I met some of my sisters and brothers in Christ at CR. I met them there. And the devil does not care who you are or what you're doing or how high you think you are on that pedestal. He will come in and take you down. And it took one person. I did the one thing I never should have done. I fell for an inmate. And it's not funny, Tara. It kind of is, but it's not. And I started a meth addiction. I started in January of 23. And that's when I really took my kids for granted. And then it really, really hit me after I'd been using for about 9 months. I started intravenous. And then I got that door slammed in my face again. You know, it was a wake-up call. I was turning into my mother. The one person I never wanted to be. I was treating my kids the way that she treated me, like they didn't exist. And I hated it. But I didn't stop. I kept going. I finally decided I was going to get clean. I tried for 2 weeks to put it down, to walk away, and to focus on my family. By that point, it was too late. I couldn't stop. It eats you alive. Nothing could take it away. So I packed up my kids and I moved to Oklahoma. And it just got worse. Like I was able to get a job and provide for my children. That lasted 2 months. 2 months. My kids came back to Missouri to my stepmom for Christmas break. And I didn't see him again. December 26, 23, my kids left. I did not see them again until November, Thanksgiving of 24. And I had always been there for them. Then I messed up. After they left and I lost guardianship, I didn't care anymore. They didn't want to live. I had lost the only thing in my life that mattered to me. I had already lost the house. I lost the car. I lost my children. And they were my life. Like, I would give anything for my kids. And it got to the point of I was homeless. Middle of December, out in Oklahoma, walking the streets. I didn't care what happened to me. I knew they were in a safe place. And nothing could happen to them. And then I ended up talking to them one time, right during the custody hearing. And my daughter, I didn't know she was in the courtroom. Whenever we had the guardianship hearing, she was just off camera. And their lawyer started talking about my intravenous use. My daughter didn't know that I did that. She had no idea. She just thought Mom was sick. And Mom had a problem. I will never get that sound out of my head. My daughter screamed and cried as they carried her out. From finding out just how sick Mom really was. And I was determined. My dad was determined too. Like, he called Tara and talked to Tara for hours, begging her. But it wasn't my dad that needed to beg her, it was me. And I was determined to get here. I stayed in a house with active addicts for 7 days to detox as part of the application process to get in this house. Because I wanted to change. I couldn't do this anymore. It was not my life. It was the best decision I ever made, to put down that pipe and pick up my cross and follow him every day. I finally had a safe place, a place that I could heal. and learn about him. I knew he was there, but I didn't know just how much. It wasn't until I got to the program that I realized all those times that I should have been dead. He was right there. He has kept me alive all these years for a purpose, for a reason. And since that time, I have graduated the program. I got rebaptized and gave my life to him. I am now living in the apartment over at the maternity house. And I got custody of my son back. Like, I have my child. I get to see my daughter on the weekends, and I get her. In the next 6 months, I get full custody of her again, too. It amazes me how much he has blessed me in the last year. A year ago, I was sitting on the street. To now, I'm a CNA, fixing to work on my CMT license, and eventually my RN or my LPN. He's given me my children back. He's given me my life back. And I owe it all to God. The first verse I learned when I got here was Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will make your path straight. That's the only verse I need for right now, because trust was my biggest problem. And once I learned to be still and be patient and trust him that he knows exactly what he's doing, everything just fell into line. It got easier. I don't have to worry. I don't have to stress. I have had so much peace and so much comfort knowing that I am safe and my children are safe and that he loves me. I don't need anybody else but him. And I'm not looking back. I can't wait to see what his next season for me is, where he leads me, what he wants me to do. My son, like she was talking about, he is following in the ministry. He goes over to the men's house and he does classes and Bible study and step study.